So we talk about a lot of things about that the IAM side. Okay, I am having three or four major components and their terminologies we already understand about that thing. Okay, how the IAM it is going to work, what all the segments the IAM is having: authentication, authorization, IGA, PAM solution, intelligent threat side, and other activity which the Okta is having. Oh, sorry, IAM is having. So one of the things which is the IAM is the part of authorization and authentication area where we can get to know other activities related to that part: SSO, MFA, lab cycle management of the identities, how we can get to authenticate the user, how the user lab cycle is going to be taken care in an infrastructure. Okay, so on that parameter, on that component side, we are having one of the tool called Okta. Okay, so Okta is a cloud-based identity and access management platform. Okay, it's a cloud-based. It's not an on-prem site. It is being deployed or it is going to be workable on that the cloud platform. Okay, so it will helps our organization to make secure and manage our user authentication across application, devices, and their network site. Okay, one more time. It is help us our organization to secure and manage user authentication. So again, user authentication across applications. So whenever our identity is going to access any kind of application, so how this identity is going to authenticate himself in that application. So that is something which is to be taken care by Okta. So Okta is not only that the one of the cloud identity access management platform, it's a complete solution. Okay. It will help us in the device authentication area. It will help us in to authenticate in the network area. Okay. Okta will provide you SSO, single sign-on. As I told you in the yesterday class and day before class, your one credential is quite good enough to get to authenticate yourself in multiple application. You are not need to worry to register yourself in multiple application with their new username and password every time. Okay, so that's why your one credential is going to be good enough to authenticate you in multiple applications. So that terminology we call it is a single sign-on. In a single author credential will work on multiple applications. Then it will provide, Okta will also provide you the multi-factor authentication. Okay, multi-factor authentication means we are having a second layer of authentication for ourselves. Okay, our credential is not good enough to authenticate ourselves, then we need to verify with some other factors, like what factor? Voicemail, OTP messages, or biometric. Okay, so these kind of things we call it is a multi-factor authentication. Okta also provide you lifecycle management. Lifecycle management, as I told you, like once a new identity is going to hire or get to involve in any of the parameter of that organizations. So how this identity is onboarded, how this self-service kind of activity is playing a role for identity in an organizations, and after that thing, once the identity is leaving the organization, how it is going to be taken care by that thing. So this complete solution, this complete area, we call it is a life cycle management. Okay, it's not only on the identity, it will help us in that the assignment of any application to the user. It will help us to assigning any group side of any user or identity. It will help us to preparing a security boundary in our infrastructure also. It will also provide the API access management to ensure secure and seamless user access. How we can get connect with the third party application, how our identities get verified or authenticate in multiple tenants. So that is we can taken care or we can check in our API access management area. Okay. So what does Okta do now? Okay. We know Okta it is a cloud based identity access management platform. We know what all that the Okta features and the products are having, like SSO, MFA, lifecycle management, API. Okay. Now what does Okta do? Okta act as a centralized identity provider. Okay, centralized means it is not going to be distributed. The functionality it is to be on the central side. It will be, you can say, it will handle all of the activity from the centralized location. Okay, so Okta act as a centralized identity provider that enables the organization to manage and secure user access to the application, whether the users They are on the cloud based, either the users on the on-prem side or either on the mobile side, or any kind of application which are be situated in your cloud side, your on-prem side, or either the mobile based applications are be there. Okay, so that going to be taken care by the Okta from the centralized manner. Okay, so whatever your parameter, whatever your boundaries, whatever your targeted system applications are be there, so Okta will perform its activity from the centralized identity provider manner. Okay. Okay, so as an industrial or enterprise grade activity, so identity service management, built-in cloud activity, but complicated with many on-prem kind of applications. Okay, with Okta we can manage our employee access to any kind of application and devices. If you see in the picture, okay, so there are cloud-based application which is going to be targeted by our on-prem side area, like our application which is to be reside in on-prem applications, whatever our users are with there, like employees, desktop, machine, they are targeting with that the mobile devices, external users. So that is the complete solution. That is a complete network we have seen in our organization. Correct? In organization, we are club with applications, we are club with users, we are club with cloud application, mobile devices, external user, internal user, so everything. So these all the capabilities or these all the things has been taken care by the Okta as a solution. So Okta solution has born as a unique challenge to how technology has growing and shifted in the growing diversity of the devices, identities issues, security, employees, mobility, vendor partnership, and the exponential growth of unique applications options. So on that side, Okta gives us a complete solution to handle, to manage all of whatever the activity is going in and out inside the organization. So if you require a mobile device, so how this mobile devices get connected to our customers, partners, our employees, okay, how these guys are be authenticating on those areas, they are inside machines, outside the machine, how they are get connect or authenticate in the cloud side applications, how the on-premise applications are be authenticated by the user in on-prem area, or either the on-prem user is going to be authenticated on the cloud side application. So these complete kind of challenges if we are having, or in the yesterday side, yesterday you can say the in the past how this kind of activity is going to be taken care. Now in the reality we can handle all of the things in the cloud side. Okay, so in the cloud side, Okta it is to be there for us who can handle all this kind of activity. Okay, everything it is right now in the cloud in the Okta side. Your applications, your devices, your users, everything it is on the Okta now. Okay, so we can onboard our on-prem side to the cloud to get to authenticate our user in the cloud side or for their applications access. Okay, even our devices are be registered over there in the cloud, so our you can say our identities get involved and authenticate themselves or register themselves in the cloud itself. Okay, so this is how the challenges what we are having in the past. Now the solutions come with the Okta side. As I told you, there are some of the key features related to the Okta. These are the some of the highlighted area. Okay, like SSO, MFA. I told you already about that area. SSO, what it means, it is to be there. So if you are no, you are supposed to be in the sense you are new in that identity and access management domain, or either you are first time learning in the Okta side. So SSO, you heard this term so many times in coming sessions. Okay, so you get to know what exactly the SSO means. It means basically allow user to log in one and access multiple application without needing multiple credentials. Okay, that is a simple term. MFA, as I told you, like enhancing the security by requiring additional authentication steps like your OTP, biometric security keys, as you are getting right now in your real scenario basis. Whether you are entering your credential, it will ask you the OTP to enter the OTP for your verification again that you are the right person. Okay, to verify you in the second time also. Similarly, for user lifecycle management, like how automate our industry or infrastructure by automating onboardation, offboardation of the user, ensuring access in granting and revoking appropriately. So that is going to be taken care by our lifecycle management. Similarly, Okta is having their own universal directory. I talk about that the Active Directory in previous class. What exactly the Active Directory? Let me just remind you. Active Directory is nothing much. It's a similar kind of directory like a telephone directory you are having. Okay, but it is storing, or it is going to store the identity. It will manage the identity in a hierarchical manner. Okay, there should be some roots, there should be some leaves, or the nodes are be there in the bottom. Okay, so every root is get connect with their sub leaves, or you can say the sub trees, or either the domains. Under the domains there are a lot of folders. Under those folders we are having the users. Under those users we are get to know where exactly the users attributes are be there. Similarly, Okta having their own directory. Directory means their own database. It is having, you can say the, why it is we are calling the universal directory, because it is residing in the cloud side. So that's why Okta gives the name as universal directory. It is a centralized system to manage our users, groups, devices across the organization in an cloud area. So Okta is having their own repository, you can say, okay, which is to be managed for all of these items. Okta is having adaptive authentication. We know the authentication. What is mean by the authentication? Like to verifying yourself. Okay. So similarly, Okta gives you the adaptive authentication. Adaptive authentication means it is uses the AI-driven risk analysis to determine if extra authentication steps are required or needed or not. Okay, that we call it as the adaptive authentication. Adaptive authentication, I can say in a way like according to the scenario, according to the situation, your authentication or your verification must be required. Okay, so Okta uses this AI driven risk analysis. So whenever it will find any kind of risk is going to be raised on any kind of scenario or situation, any kind of use cases, okay, so on that time the authentication is required by the organization. So you need to authenticate yourself on that time also. So this Okta will having this kind of capability also. Now Okta having API access management. In API access management, what is going to be do by Okta? To control access to the API to ensure secure communication between application. How the application are going to be communicate with each other. Okay, that is totally depends on which kind of protocol they are using, what kind of methodology between that, what is the communication channel, what it could be the communication gateway between that area, connectivity between that area, or how the data has been transferred between that the API between all of those applications. So this API access management will take care all of this area. Okay, like in your mobile phones, what exactly those applications are be there. The application, they are not supposed to be the complete application. They are only that the part of the application. They are the only APIs. Okay, we are touching the APIs only. Whether we are touching the API, we are again touching the API of their catalogs inside that applications. Okay, inside the application catalogs, we are again touching the API to ordering something. Okay, to order some goods, order some food, or order to make a transaction between them. So whatever the things we are doing in our mobile phone, that is a completely solution of APIs. Okay, they are taking our information with the help of API. We are transferring our information with the help of APIs. Okay. So API will transaction, API will do each and every aspect. So the communication between user with that the application and application with the other application, like you are ordering something from Amazon.com. So once you are hitting the API of the Amazon.com, once you're done with your purchasing and all this thing, it will redirect to the banking API. Okay, for the transaction for make a payment. So that is how this communication it is be developed. So that kind of activity Okta will also do. Okay, so this is one of the feature. This is one of the product of the Okta. It is API access management. So whatever the things you have seen over there, these are the features of Okta. Okay. Now, why Octave is used? Again, the question is, it is enhanced security by preventing unauthorized access. How it is enhancing? There are lots of capability we have seen over here related to only for the security parameter, like SSO, one of the area, MFA, one of the area of security. Okay, universal directory. Again, we are maintaining our data. We are keeping securing our data in universal directory. Adaptive authentication. Again, we are targeting any kind of risk it is going to be raised in the security side. So that is the feature. So on that basis, we are enhancing our security by preventing unauthorized accesses. We are reducing our password fatigue and improve user experience with SSO. That's why we are using Okta. We are using Okta automate user management, reducing administrative overhead. With the help of automation, we can reduce administrative overhead. That's why we are using Okta, because in Okta we can do lot of automation kind of activity also. Okta will provide zero trust security model. As I told you yesterday session, what exactly the zero trust security model? Like what exactly it means? Revati, you know what exactly it means?
Zero trust means for every time the user login, they used to verify.
Yeah. So it means that basically trust nobody, verify every time. Okay. So that is the zero trust security model. Okay. So Okta will do this kind of activity and it will provide that kind of features to inbuild in it to ensuring strict identity verification. Whatever the situation, whatever the use case come across, so that going to the person need to authenticate himself. He need to verify himself. Okay. So that is the one of the things. That's why we are using Okta, and it will support integration with 1,000 application. Correct. Right now in Okta we are having 8,000 application. It will support 8,000 application to integrate itself with the Okta. Okay, including our Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, AWS, Salesforce, and other applications also. Okay, so that's why we are using Okta itself. Now, who uses the Okta? Who uses Okta means like our enterprises are using Okta, our developers are using Okta, our IT teams are using Okta. Enterprises means like they are ensuring employees access to the cloud or on-prem application. Enterprises means the organizations. I'm talking about the organizations. The organization either we sit in on-prem side or either in the cloud side. So they are having multiple applications. Okay, those are running on on-prem area or either on the cloud area. So how their employees are going to access all those applications? So my employee is residing in on-prem side and he wanted to access the cloud application. So the Okta gives one of the functionality to get interact or get authenticate that user in the cloud application. Similarly, the cloud application guy wanted to get authenticate or accessing the on-prem application. How it is going to be done? So Okta again comes in picture to make this kind of activity helpful for that user. So that's why we are using Okta for the enterprise level. Developers. Developers require this Okta for integrating authentication into web and mobile application. So we are developing multiple application. Our developer are creating lots of application either for web, either for mobile. So how these application are get connect with our infrastructure. Okay, like for Okta kind of activity. So that kind of integration we are building for our mobile side or either for our web application area to get interact with Okta. So whatever the user who is using that Okta platform or inside in the Okta platform, so they can authenticate themselves or use those applications by integrating this application to Okta. So that's why the developer role it is to be there. IT team. IT team managing user identity and security policies across the organization. So how IT team required this Okta? Like every organization having two or three kind of networks, in zone, out zone. Okay, there should be some allow list, block list it is to be there in the network side. So IT team prepare their security boundaries accordingly and prepare the policies accordingly, as their users are be there inside the user, outside external users, or either these users are accessing Okta or applications of an organization from in network or out network. So IT team uses that Okta to help this kind of situation came across in the organization. Okay, so that's why who uses Okta. So these three guys are majorly uses that Okta for their seamless access in the or preparing the infrastructure for their industry. Anything so far? Any question? All good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I'm good, Karan.
Okay. So now a major thing came across. Till so far we totally understand what exactly that Okta it is, who uses Okta, where exactly this Okta used, and what kind of that the features the Okta is having, what Okta capability it is to be there. Now there are four kind of products, or you can say the four kind of Okta components are be there majorly. Okay, so these components or these things are be described in a way. So Okta products. I'm talking about Okta products. Okta having four products. Okay, or you can say Okta is divided under four area. As I told you, this is workforce identity management. Okay, then there is a second thing which is Okta is having, that is CIM, customer identity access management. Now Okta comes with Okta identity governance. Okay, now the fourth Okta product is Okta threat intelligence. Okay, generally these two practices are not in market. Okay, Okta is working on this two parameter, governance side or threat intelligence area. Threat intelligence comes with the AI side. Okay, now in Okta, these two components, these two areas like workforce identity and customer identity side, CIM side, workforce identity management or CIM. Okta is working on both the areas majorly. Industries or implementation of Okta. Any organization who is implementing Okta either on workforce side, they required workforce side, or either for the CIM side. CIM means customer identity access management. CIM basically dealing with auth 0. You heard this term, auth 0. Okay, basically it is for customer centering area. In workforce identity side, it is basically deals with enterprise area. Enterprises uses workforce identity management. Okay, enterprises means majorly those organizations who are dealing with their these kind of activity, SSO kind of activity, MFA kind of activity, lifecycle management kind of activity. Okay, so they are using workforce identity. Those organizations who are dealing with auth 0 kind of activity, they can go with the CIM product. Okay, so these two products are majorly working on majorly highlighted in an organizations, those who are deploying Okta. Okay, so the in future if you are getting any kind of project in Okta, so you can find either these kind of projects are on workforce identity side or either in the CIM side. So if you find that in this is the CIM side area, so you can find there are a lot of things you can do or work on auth zero area, some kind of the development kind of activity. Okay. Even over here in the enterprise, you can see some of the area for the administrator kind of activity, some development, and some operation kind of activity comes across. Okay, three kind of segments are open in WIM area. In over here in Auth0, majorly the development and implementation kind of work it is to be there. Okay, so as I told you, Okta is divided
Karan,
under
I
four.
have a question.
Yep, yep.
So these two different modules comes with a different licensing. Like how does that?
Yes, 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 yes. So the license part it is to be there. Okta gives you like in the licensing part, if I'm telling to you that all of the four product of the Okta having their four licenses. Okay. So in the workforce identity management, you need to have a license or you need to purchase the tenant for that area. Okay. Even for CIM area, the auth zero, you need to purchase that license or the tenant. Okay. For that. Okta gives you all these things. Okta will provide you the tenant access. Okay, so both the things.
It's like a one single console, and like
Yes, yes, yes.
we get
So
access to
yeah,
whatever the license that we have, right?
yeah. So the license part it is to be there. Okta gives you that the tenant access for your prod, for your preview, or you can say the development dev environment, and it will give you the UAT environment. Okay. Similarly for your auth area, prod, preview, or dev, or UAT environment for testing purpose. Okay, so it totally depends on you which kind of license or the tenant access you can purchase from that the Okta site. Okay, so prod it generally used for your runtime kind of solution, but majorly the organization will purchase on both the three areas, three tenants they can purchase for their UAT part, for their development area, and for the production area. Okay, so generally some of the organization uses or getting a license from Okta two. Okay, preview and the dev. Okay, but majorly I have seen I just came across in most of the projects I am having three of the tenant access, all the three. Generally Okta gives three of the tenant access. So majorly our organization will get all the three tenant license access. Okay. So
But
this
how come this, apart from production, how come the other two is useful for the enterprise? Like in what use case they would go for this two
like
options?
for the two option as I told you, let's talk about prod. Okay, just leave it for right now. Now it's a development environment, developer, and there is one UAT environment. In the UAT, generally what we need to do, okay, whatever we are going to test in that sense for any kind of applications, onboardation, or any kind of integration we are using with that application team, okay, or any kind of administrator team we are having. So we generally work on that the UAT platform. Okay. In development platform, it is to be that we know what all that the domains we are having, what all our authoritative source we are having. We already know what all the applications we are having. We already know what kind of policies or security or authentications factor we are having. Okay, we are going to just make a test over there, just development over there. Development in the sense like the user, the authoritative source of the user get connect with Okta in a proper syncing side or not, we can develop kind of scenario. So 100% kind of the availability, if it is to be the 100%, it is going to be done on the development area. then we are doing the similar kind of activity in our prod area. Okay, if it is 100% test successful. Okay, so these kind of areas for integration, application onboardation, or any kind of security posture, it is be there in the development area. But in the UAT, we don't know. We don't know exactly. We are preparing everything in the UAT environment, like applications, our users, our authoritative source. We are preparing all those connection, all of the components or all of the elements we are preparing over here in the UAT environment. But in the dev environment, we are having all of those things and we are connecting the dots. Okay. Once it is done over there, then we are going with the production area, which is our go live environment. Okay, which is our go live environment. Okay. So in the go live environment, that is the actual picture. We can't do any kind of testing over here. Testing is not be there. Okay. We are tested over here. Once the test is successful, then we are deploying over here in the prod environment. We are having application over here. We are having a connection with the authoritative source over here. We already having a authentication policies are already over here. Once it is to be successful over here, we are deploying the similar kind of things over here, and it will be reflect back by our user. So user are going to be the other side, the end user. If he is facing any kind of issue, so it means that is something the connection we make it very wrongly mannered we are planned over here in the production side. So that's why we are having the dev environment for administrator work or development kind of developers majorly use the dev environment. Once it is to be done, then we are having the go live area. So if you are working in a major large project, sorry, if you are working in a project, so that's why project having such phases, correct? Phase 0, phase 1, phase 2, or I think phase 2, phase 3 are the last phases. Okay, so in the phase 0, basically we are discovering something, requirement gathering, it is to be there. What kind of product we are using, what kind of servers, how many servers are we there, what kind of gateway it is to be there, what all the IPs are we there, how many tenants we required over here. We get to know in the phase 0 area. So that phase 0, it is much more important to know our client environment. Okay, after phase 0, phase 1 is very much crucial for us. Over here, after gathering all these things, we are preparing our details like architecture diagram. We are preparing. We are preparing SOPs. We are preparing HLD diagrams, LLD diagrams. Okay, we are get to prepare the license for all of the 3 tenants, because over in the phase 1 we get to know which kind of products we are going to deploy for our client, either Okta, either Azure, either AWS, whatever. Okay, and we over here we get to know what all the authenticators we are using for our MFA, either Okta Verify, either Google, okay, authenticator, either Microsoft authenticator, what exactly. Okay, what all the users are coming from, we get to know over here what all the authoritative sources are we there, how many ADs are we there. Okay, ADs, external LDAP AD, whatever the things. In the phase 2, it is like a implementation kind of activity we are doing. If we are having all these stuffs, we are connecting all of the stuffs and preparing our testing our dev environment. Once the dev environment is successful, then we implement in the prod. Once the prod is done, we are taking the sign off from our client. Then the project is completely over. Once the project is over, then what will happen? When all of the three phases is going to be over, everything is implemented, and the last comes in this picture is the BAU part. Okay, either in some area development required, so the developer are going to do this kind of activity. Administration is required, like monitoring what kind of activity is going on, monitoring enhancement, and the last operation. So operation troubleshooting. Okay, means client issue resolve, either with the help of any kind of ticketing tool like as now ITSM or BMS, any kind of tool. Okay, so after the implementation, all these things, these kind of activity comes in this picture. Okay, so this is how the project is going to be run in an industry. Okay, so these kind of activities we just came across in the Okta project also. Okay, so over here we are just understanding firstly Okta, how the Okta it is to be work. Okay, and how this kind of functionality, how this kind of features the Okta is having. Okay, I just give you the broad picture, right? Okay, so we are over here about our Okta products overview. So as I told you, Okta works on workforce identity products, customer identity side, which is basically designed for developer or consumer. Then we are having identity governance and the security product, and Okta AI and threat intelligence product. Each and every product having their own capability and functionality. Okay, so we are not going to too much bigger on that side right now. We are focusing on our training is based on workforce identity product. Okay, so we can talk about that thing, workforce identity side. As I told you, workforce identity majorly for the enterprise side. So you have been came across multiple times these kind of words like SSO, multi-factor lifecycle management. We already talk about that thing. We talk about Okta Universal Directory. One more thing we just came across in that the workforce side is Okta Advanced Server Access. Advanced Server Access means it will provide secure authentication and access management to our cloud servers. If our organization implemented Okta and they wanted to access some other cloud server, so Okta gives the OAG kind of things. Okta Advanced Server Access, this kind of thing it is to be there. Similarly for OAG kind of activity, which is we call it a Okta Access Gateway. Like if we are having a capability or if we are going to do a certain kind of activity, like in my organization, they deployed Okta. This is my organization. Okta is in the cloud. This is my organization, and it is having some on-prem on-prem applications are be there with that organization. Some organization applications are on the cloud in Okta. My users are be there in the cloud. Identities are in the cloud. So those identities which are in the cloud, they are quite capable to interact with the cloud-based applications. Okay, but those identities in the cloud, how could they access the on-prem kind of application? Okay, so for that basis, Okta comes in this picture with Okta Access Gateway. They will create a gateway for all those identities to authenticate themselves in on-prem application to access the on-prem applications. So that's why this term OAG is just to be there, Okta Access Gateway. Okay, so Okta Access Gateway means extends secure authentication to on-prem applications. It will be the bridge cloud and legacy system within modern IAM solution. Okay, so that's why Okta is much larger than the scope. That's why I telling to you from the beginning of the class, Okta is not a immediately a, like a product. It is a complete solution. Whatever the challenge it is comes to you in your mind. It is anything which is comes to your mind for your enterprise level. So Okta will gives you the solution in the different kind of products they are having, or either in a way to interact with all those capabilities the Okta is having. Okay, so that's why Okta Access Gateway comes in this picture. Okay, so these all the things which is related to your workforce identity product area. Okay, there are a lot more things which is comes to over here like the CIM side. Okay, which is for developer or the consumer application. We are not I'm not going to touch these kind of things because our training it is not with the part of customer identity side, but I'll give you this complete documentation for your reading purpose. So you just came across with Okta four of the products. So you just came across what exactly which product or which Okta products is having what kind of capability in it, so you can easily understand. Okay, so I'll give you this document so you can easily get to know or just a heads up about all those products. Okay, so threat intelligence side is basically for Okta AI part, risk-based authentication, the fourth product. The second product, the third product of the Okta is majorly for Okta identity governance area. Okay, where it will provide identity compliance and access review kind of things and the PAM solution kind of activity. Okay, so these are the three of the four of the products. Now, which is a very important thing you get to know about that Okta. Okta having two engines. Okay, first engine we call it a Okta classic engine. Now Okta is working on Okta identity engine. Okay, previously whatever the console you have seen or you are not interact with that console, that is fine, but previously Okta work on Okta classic engine. We call it the previous version of the Okta console, we call it as the Okta classic engine. Right now everything is going to be changed. Okta enhance his productivity with the feature side and their product side. So Okta come with the new area with the modern and advanced kind of activity in the console. We call it as the Okta Identity Engine. Okay. So in the Okta Identity Engine having much more capability, much more features, which is not be there in the past Okta Classic Engine. Okay. So that if anyone telling you which kind of Okta engine you are working, so in from last couple of 2 years we are working on Okta identity engine area. Okay, so the every project is going to be started on that Okta identity engine side. Okay, so it's a Okta, you can say the version or the you can say the version of the Okta. Okay, Okta classic engine, you can say that. Okay, classic engine having all of the capabilities like SSO as we get to know all these things. Okay, but there is should be some limitations in the Okta classic engine, like authentication flow. Sometimes it is to be not there. Like it will having a limited password-less authentication, but right now we are having password-less authentication in the classic engine. Like previously, engine doesn't have the biometric passkey and all UB keys and all. Right now we are having this kind of activity. Previous engine doesn't have the adaptive MFA kind of activity, but over here in the identity engine, we are having this kind of activity. Previously, Okta Classic Engine doesn't have the zero touch security framework, but in the modern and the classic or this identity new engine, we are having this kind of capability. Okay, so that is some of that the differentiation between both of the engine. Okay. Yeah, you can see in this picture, whatever the single sign-on, both of the side it is to we are having multi-factors. There are some basic multi-factor, but in the Okta Identity Engine, we are having the adaptive MFA kind of things. Okay. Similarly, the password authentication, yes, we have in new version. Similarly, for adaptive one, customizable authentication flow side, zero trust security side, fine grid side, API side, or modern security standard side. all of the things we are having in our Okta identity engine area. Okay. Then this is one of the architect of Okta. Okay. I'll demonstrate you this Okta architect tomorrow session because that's required a little bit a brush up about all of the things which we have learned so far in the Okta side. So right now what we have seen in Okta or what we have learned so far in Okta, it is to be like what exactly that Okta it is. We get to know what exactly the Okta, what Okta will do, where Okta will be used, to whom Okta is for. Okay, so these are the three things we have learned about the Okta. We have learned about that Okta features, features like SSO, MFA, LCM, API, or else. Third, we get to know Okta products. Okta having four product: workforce identity management, customer identity access management, Okta governance, Okta threat intelligence. Okay. Fourth, we get to know our Okta engines: classic engine or identity engine, which is the modern one. Okay. So in the today's session, we have learned or we has came across about all of those things easily. Okay. So these are the things we get to know. We should know what exactly and how exactly the Okta it is. Okay. So if you know about the product, so it's quite easy for you to understand how it is behaving in a practical side. Okay. So I think, I hope so. This all of the today's session is very much helpful for you to understand what exactly that Okta it is. Okay. So for tomorrow session, we get to know the architect of Okta. Okay. So architect, we can go ahead tomorrow session. After architect, if we are understanding much more clearly on the architect side, so you are much more capable to understand how exactly Okta is deployed or implemented or configured in an organization. Okay, so that all comes in the architect of the Okta. Okay, so in tomorrow session, I will teach you that thing. Okay.